There was something unusual about today's session. For the past few planche training sessions, there's been a lack of progression. I haven't seen much change nor difference in the form or durations in my planche holds, right? And yet, in this session, I changed one tiny thing. I recruited, or at least put more engagement and effort into contracting my glutes and promoting the idea of internal hip rotation. So I realized that, especially with today's session being in a gym that had a mirror that I was able to continuously look like while I was doing my sessions, right? So while I was doing my holds, I was able to, see and review during the present moment, right? So because of that, if you just see right here, I actively really contracted my glutes, right? You can kind of see that my legs are pointing a bit more straight and internally rotated, right? And for all my other planche attempts for the past few sessions, right? I've always been, loosely dangling my legs, right? And that kind of dangling position kind of makes the planche or the straddle planche look very inactive, as if you're not actively going out of your way to form this nice form, right? And this is something that I found rather confusing because there wasn't really much of a change in leverages nor requiring more, leaning. And it wasn't a matter of strength in the shoulders that was limiting me from producing more aesthetic pose and a longer duration of the planche. Now, some may argue that having me contracting my glutes makes it look like it's very prominent, specifically my anterior pelvic tilt, and thus it reduces the effectiveness of this planche form, right? But I would argue that it looks a lot better than my other planche attempts where, my legs look very aimless without purpose, and I'm not really, flexing them whatsoever or engaging them at all, or tensing in general. And this was something that I immediately recognized, or I recall back from that training session way before where I was holding very successful straddle planche leans, right? During those times, I was engaging my legs and I was tensing them in this way that had me pointing my legs in a very straight and in a planar manner, right? And that was the exact same feeling that I recalled back then, right? And the fact that I was able to reproduce this in my session today was rather a big surprise because it just came out of nowhere, right? And I don't really know where I can put this, where I can rely this effort on. Was it the fact that I was doing it next to a gym mirror and I was able to see the whole, see my form while doing the holds? Or was it just like that sudden moment where I'm slowly engaging a bit more and getting stronger, right? I don't really think it's me getting stronger because for the past few sessions, right, my planche has been improving very, very slowly, right? It doesn't seem natural for it to just boost up again, right? And obviously, I feel like it may be more of a discovery of this new position that you can hold with this straddle planche. And I'm confused. I don't know whether this form is more effective, and for me personally, it seems more aesthetically pleasing, right? But for others, it may not be, right? So I kind of want other people's opinions on this, other people's perspectives, and if they have the time to compare my last planche hold to this recent holds, right? Now, I'll admit that obviously these holds were very short, right? Maximum 2 seconds or so. So you don't really have, I don't really have much of a reference to, compare it to. But yeah, it was a very unusual discovery. Perhaps the very essence of internal hip rotation and tension within your quads is something to consider to form a very nice I guess, a nice parallel position of the planche, right? So that's something to consider for myself in the future, and I may be trying to implement this more often. Now, in this session over here as well, I also did a bit of chest to finish off, bench, just to make sure that I was getting a nice contraction of the chest. And more recently, since I've been focusing purely on calisthenics, I feel as though I'm neglecting this skill of the bench press, right? Now, although it's inherently ingrained in my muscle memory, you still will become weaker if you do not train this movement frequently, right? So essentially, yeah, that's the main incentive as to why I was doing these bench press sets, right? Now, I kept it very light. I only did like 60 kilos for 5 sets of 5. And well, I felt very burnt out from my planche session. And that's kind of expected since I'm recruiting quite a bit of my anterior torso region. So like the pushing muscles regarding like the pectorals, my shoulders, and just like the triceps as well, right? Especially in the planche push-ups. Pseudo push-ups. But aside from that, I guess the fact that I am detouring more to calisthenics and deviating away from the weights more often it's a level of compromise that I need to hold and maintain. And it's a clash between my motivations in my fitness journey, right? Whether I want to prioritize more on like isometric holds and the aesthetics of calisthenics or the general strength gains of free weights, right? So that was basically it, and I'll finish it off here.